What's good, my friends? This is the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides. Mark, Ryan, and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate, rolling on until 7 p.m. You've got a ton of sports media choices. We truly appreciate you making us part of your day. My friends, we have what they call in the business today a show scheduled to be joining us at 3:20 p.m. this afternoon. Just committed to Clemson this morning. Four-star 2025 quarterback Blake Hebert set to be joining us at 3:20 p.m. today. That would be, my friends, in the very, very, very next segment of the show. We look forward to bringing that interview to you. I spoke to Blake this morning. We very much look forward to having Blake on these airwaves, scheduled to join us in the next segment. We've got Brent Beard joining us, Heisman Trophy voter, at 4 o'clock p.m. today. We're going to take your picks as to who is going to win the Upstate's favorite athlete bracket. Here's what we're going to do. I am going to earmark this particular date. Then when we know who won the bracket, right, which is going to be next month, right? We'll know who won the bracket next month. I'm going to scroll back to today's date. I'm going to see who gave me the correct winner first, all right? And that person will have the opportunity to host a segment of this here radio program. What do you say about that? We've got our own Upstate's favorite athlete bracket matchup today. We've got a question for you. Is Cade Klubnik closer to Deshaun Watson or DJ Uiagalelei? And we've got our first look at the 2024 expanded playoff. I dove into this today, man. It's an exercise in impossibility. I'm going to give you the 12 teams that I think first make the expanded playoff coming our way in 2024. How's that for a Friday lineup? There's no Fridays off here. You know, Diesel, we work in a culture today where it's like casual Friday, and any office around the upstate is a ghost town this time of the day on Friday. Not here, man. Not here. Wasn't it Bill Belichick who said, no days off? No days off. And his team was like, the hell with that, man. I'm out of here. But we've got a great one for you this here Friday. 844-FAN phone is the number. That's 844-326-3663. The text line is there for you at 71307 is where you can text to us on the show as well. What's up to all of our friends watching us on YouTube today? We'd love to have you subscribe. Just go to YouTube on your phone or TV. Type in the Fan Upstate, hit subscribe. You'll see our ugly mugs, Diesel and I, right there for you. Blake Hebert, new blue chip Clemson quarterback commitment in the class of 2025, set to be joining us in the very next segment. Let's open today with this, though. There is, and by the way, guys, we're already having guesses coming in for our Upstate our Upstate's favorite athlete bracket. Please reserve your picks until we get to that particular segment on the show. Let's see where I have that on the rundown. Who's going to win? Who's going to claim the crown? That's coming up at 3:40. So please hold your picks for that segment at that point. Ooh. They will be legitimate.
Jokes on Dan B, Spur Daddy, and Madcraft in the YouTube comments. They're like, shoeless Joe. and Dan B's like, well, I beat you to it. I already texted at 3:03. Jokes on you guys. You're not allowed to enter yet.
Yeah, 3:40 p.m. is when we will do.
So raspberries all around.
But I'll tell you what, like, I appreciate the eagerness. I really do. And it's got to come on the text line. So it's got to be on 71307. Start your text with the word fan, and away you go. That'll be at 3:40 p.m. this afternoon. So, folks, I want to open with this. We've got Father's Day coming up this weekend. Happy Father's Day to you. Diesel, my wife is telling me that this is my first Father's Day. And I don't know how you guys feel about that. All right. I'm going to throw it in either or that we're doing at 5:40 p.m. today. I am a bonus dad. I have been engaged to Angela since April of last year. I have been married to Angela since October. I am a bonus dad. I have a bonus son. He is 6. I've been doing the dad thing with him for over a year now, year and a half now. Do I get to celebrate Father's Day on Sunday? You know, it sure does feel like I put in enough work for it, by golly. But do I? It's weird to me. Like Angela's saying to me, Mark, what do you want to do for Father's Day? And I'm like, oh, yeah. Wait a minute. I might get to partake in that for once, man. This is kind of cool. This is kind of exciting. And, you know, on Father's Day, I think about how my father fostered my love for sports. And I think about, you know, all of the Houston Astros games we went to when I was 6, 7, 8 years old. I was at the playoff game against the Mets, the wild card game that went into extra innings inside the Astrodome in 1986 when I was a wee lad at the age of 9. And I'm sure you all have your feel-good stories about how your dad helped to grow your love of sports. And that is a real feel-good segment that we are not going to do. Because what we are going to do is, who's your daddy? Okay? I want to ask this question at the open of the show today. All right? 71307, points for humor and creativity, my friends. What are the relations? What are the father-son relationships in sports? And to those relationships in sports that are deemed to be the son, you need to get your daddy something for Father's Day. You know, like it's Father's Day is coming up here. All right. Now, very clearly, Diesel, this only recently, and thanks to one Shane Beamer, is this now even a question? But a year ago, it was very easy to see that Dabo was Beamer's daddy, that Dabo and Clemson were South Carolina's daddy. And therefore, the Gamecocks should have been buying Clemson a Father's Day gift, right? What Father's Day gift would they get them? But the win by South Carolina throws that into question, draws that into doubt. Because we have established that you win the rivalry game 3 times in 5 years, then you are the alpha in the rivalry. And look, can Shane Beamer win it 2 more times in 4 years? We do not know the answer to that. But I do want to ask you guys the very, very important question. Who are the father-son relationships in sports? And I'm not looking for Ken Griffey Sr. and Ken Griffey Jr. I'm not looking for LeBron and Bronny. All right? I'm looking for that would-be rival, that little ankle biter that is biting at the heels of the big dog and just can never overtake them for all of their might. They can't overtake them. What are those relationships like in sports? Charles Barkley, you need to send a Father's Day gift to Michael Jordan. He is your daddy. He prevented you from winning an NBA championship. Hakeem Olajuwon doesn't owe anybody anything. Hakeem Olajuwon won the 2 NBA finals when Michael Jordan was playing baseball. At least he got one. Charles Barkley did not. Charles Barkley was held down by the man known as Michael Jordan. Charles Barkley owes Michael Jordan a Father's Day gift. Who's your daddy? The answer is MJ. Who would you say the daddy is of Michigan, Ohio State, of that relationship? Why do we say Michigan first? Because Michigan won the rivalry game. Who is the daddy of South Carolina, Clemson? Why do we say South Carolina first? Because they won the rivalry game. Who is the daddy of Florida State, Florida first? Son of a. Why do we say Florida State first? Because they won the most recent rivalry game.
So, believe it or not, the Michigan-Ohio State series is relatively even. It is 60 wins for Michigan, 51 wins for Ohio State, and 6 ties. Thank God we don't end games in ties anymore. But when you look at this stat, I think this is what pushes Michigan into daddy territory. Largest margin of victory, 86-0 versus 38-0 as the largest margin of victory for Ohio State. 86-0.
Wow.
Granted, it was in 1902. We hadn't done any of the world wars yet, but still 86-0.
Wow. Here's an interesting one, Diesel. Spur Daddy says that Alabama owes Georgia a Father's Day gift because Georgia is now their daddy.
Ooh.
Is this, folks, has that been going on long enough now for you to say that? Georgia's got, what, 2 years? They've won the Natty 2 years, but is that now a father-son relationship? That's very, very interesting, Spur Daddy. I'm wondering, Spur Daddy, if you're guilty of a little premature smaculation here.
Alabama's up 42-26 in that series.
Up 42-26. Now, what is the qualifications, Diesel, for daddy? We've done the qualifications for rivalry. We've done the qualifications for you run the rivalry. We've done the qualifications for dynasty, right? We don't agree on all of them, but we agree on some of them. You are a rival's daddy in sports. MJ is Charles Barkley's daddy if he put his boot on your throat and prevented you from getting up. How do you quantify that, though? Like, how do you say what that is?
And Georgia's win streak currently is only 1. They've only won 1 against Alabama. You go back past that, man, you got to go a long way. Let's see. 2021, Alabama beat Georgia 41-24 in Atlanta. And then I'm scrolling back, trying to find, it was 2003. Before that was the last time that Georgia had beaten Alabama.
Yeah, how can you say they're
almost
your dad?
20 years?
They didn't beat Georgia. They didn't beat Alabama last
Granted,
year.
they didn't play it every one of those 20 years, but it was almost 20 years since Georgia had beaten them. That doesn't qualify.
It does. No, it doesn't. I'm not so sure that it does. Okay, so here we go, Diesel. Here we go. We're going to test something, Diesel. This is live radio, okay?
Yep.
Blake Hebert just sent me a direct message. He said, hey, something just came up with my family.
Oh, man.
Okay? Diesel, I was talking about this off the air. This is why I don't share these things until they come up. But let's figure this out together as an Offsides family. Let's have an off-air conversation on the air. He says, is it possible to get on later? Sorry for the late heads up. I think here's what we do, Diesel. Do we go for 5:20?
Yeah, we have time at 5:20. We have time.
We got Brent Beard at 4. We don't want to do 3:40. We don't want to do 4:20. So why don't I say...
I think 5:20 sounds good.
Okay. So I'm going to message Blake Hebert. 4-star Clemson quarterback commitment in the class of 2025. Notre Dame offered him. Penn State offered him. Clemson offered him. Auburn offered him. I'm going to message Blake. We're going to see if we can't call the audible and get him on at 5:20 p.m. And we're going to work with him. We're flexible. We understand that things come up, and frankly, we're very much looking forward to meeting Blake. It's interesting to me, man. The father-son, the daddy relationships in sports. Who in sports owes whom a Father's Day gift? We will take your submissions on this, my friends. 844-FAN phone. That's 844-326-3663 is the number to get to us on the show. Diesel and I will do a little scramble drill, and we'll figure out what we're doing next right here on the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides. Mark, Ryan, and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate. Let me call this. It's Offsides. Mark, Ryan, and Diesel. We are the Fan Upstate. Great to have you guys with us. The live world of radio. You know, it's here's my scorecard on this kind of event, Diesel. Okay, here's how I view it. You tell me if you view it the same way. Things come up for all of us, right? I understand that. Blake Hebert, new 4-star Clemson commit. Really good kid, recruited by a lot of big-time schools, was set to be joining us at 3:20 p.m. And he sent me a message, and he said something came up. No problem. Things come up for all of us. We all want people to be flexible, understanding with us. But my expectation is that you bend over backwards to make it happen the same day if you were the one that had to reschedule, right? Or you make it happen as soon as possible. And, you know, so our hope is we'll have Blake Hebert on either later today or very, very soon. But you always promote it, right? You always promote it. And I'm actually surprised, like the kind of thing where you get the notification, hey, man, something came up. Doesn't happen more often. I would say guests are about, once you book them, they're about 95% to come on. That's like 19 out of 20. Once you book them, they're aware of it. They come on. Last one that didn't, Diesel, was I had Michelle Tafoya on CBS Sports Radio. Teased it. She forgot about it. And we were calling her feverishly. She wasn't answering. And I texted her, and like half an hour later, she's like, oh, snap. I'm totally, my bad. I forgot. I can do it right now if you're free. And we worked her right in. It was like an hour later, and we ended up getting Michelle Tafoya on anyway. So we'll see if the same luck holds true for us today with one Blake Hebert. Just committed to Clemson today. Chose Clemson over Notre Dame, Penn State, and many, many others. Is regarded as a top 65 player in the 2025 class and the number 6 overall quarterback in said class. Diesel, what do you say? Like, is it fair to expect the same day, or are those unrealistic expectations?
No, that's fair, especially because today is Friday. So
why not?
Yeah, it's gotta be today.
Yeah. 844 fan phone. That's 844-326-3663 is the number. So, guys, I always like to bring you into the workings of the show. The way the show works is we have a rundown. Diesel and I have the rundown most of the time. And I share with Diesel kind of what I'm thinking, and Diesel will put some ideas in there, and like, here's what where we want to do this and that, and et cetera. And so what happens is every once in a while, you get a curveball. No big deal. It's life, right? Did today go exactly as you planned it to so far? And so every once in a while, you got to call an audible. Okay, we were going to have Blake Hebert here. We don't have him here. What are we going to do here? You know, time is not going to wait for us to stall for 20 minutes to get to the next commercial break. So what you do during a commercial break is you move stuff around. You say, okay, we're going to do this here. Now we're going to do it there. Now we're going to move this around. So, my friends, here we go. Let us switch to the Fan Upstate's favorite athlete bracket. Now, what is this, my friends? What is this? This is our attempt through you. You are going to have the power, the right, and the privilege to crown the Upstate's favorite all-time athlete. Well, what does that mean? Is it LeBron James? Is it Michael Jordan? Is it Chipper Jones? No. These are athletes that were born and raised in the Upstate or played high school sports in the Upstate. Okay? One or the other, or both. They're from here, they were born and raised here, or at minimum, they played high school sports here in the Upstate. Yesterday, we had a heck of a matchup. It was Pistol Pete Maravich against Sidney Rice. It was the 4-5 matchup. And I was worried for Pistol Pete. Because people were saying, well, he shouldn't count. He's not really from here. He only played 2 years at Daniel High School. Shouldn't really count. Shouldn't really be a thing, right? And I said, well, wait a minute. Our criteria are you had to play high school sports here. Yeah, he was born in Pennsylvania. Yeah, his dad was the basketball coach at Clemson. Yeah, his dad left to become the basketball coach at NC State. And when he did, Pistol Pete transferred high schools. But he did play at Daniel High School for 2 years. So he meets the criteria. And Pistol Pete is a far better athlete, far more successful than Sidney Rice was. No offense to Sidney Rice, one of Gaffney High School's greats. No offense to him. Tip of the cap to all of his accomplishments. But you wondered what was going to win out. Was it going to be the better, the more accomplished athlete, Pistol Pete Maravich, or the athlete that has undisputed ties to the upstate, Sidney Rice? And folks, we have tabulated your many, many votes, hundreds of which came in. We've carried the 3, we've dropped the 1, we've multiplied by 6, and we can tell you that Pistol Pete has advanced over Sidney Rice in our Fan Upstate's favorite athlete bracket. So Pistol Pete moves on in his region. And it's going to be a fascinating one because as you consider, Pistol Pete now gets the winner of Shoeless Joe Jackson and Bill Haas. Boy, can you imagine we're going to have Shoeless Joe Jackson against Pistol Pete in the round of 16? That, my friends, is going to be insane. Insane. Okay, all of which brings us to today's matchup, which momentarily is going to be yours for the voting. Okay, yours for the voting coming your way in just a few minutes. It is out of the Rushmore region. We have not had a matchup yet out of the Rushmore region. The participants in the Rushmore region are as follows. 1 seed Betsy Rawls, 8 seed Steve Fuller, 4 seed Robert Brooks, 5 seed Al Rosen, 3 seed Zion Williamson, 6 seed George Webster, 7 seed 2 seed Debo Samuel, 7th seed Anthony Simmons. Our matchup today, my friends, out of the Rushmore region. As soon as we say the matchup, your votes are free and able and willing to come in. 3 seed Zion Williamson against 6 seed George Webster. Get your votes in right now. Now, you know about Zion Williamson. I know about Zion Williamson. We don't need to tell anybody about Zion Williamson. Zion Williamson is not from the upstate. His statistical profile, or biographical profile to be more accurate, reads very similar to Pistol Pete Maravich's. Played at Spartanburg Day School for a period of time. I have driven by that school that he played at. Many of our listeners here on Offsides have met Zion Williamson, hung with Zion Williamson when he was in the area. I've asked you guys what it was like to have Zion Williamson here playing in the upstate. And you guys said, man, it was nuts. It was awesome. It was like we were the center of the paparazzi zone, right? But Zion Williamson wasn't from the area originally. He qualifies because he played high school ball here. He didn't stay in the area for college. He did go to Duke, and now he plays in New Orleans part of the time. He's kind of a part-time basketball player. He goes up against today George Webster. Now, let's tell you a little bit about old George. He was a linebacker out of Anderson, South Carolina, who passed away in 2007 at the age of 61. George Webster, rest in peace. In 1967, he was the 5th overall pick in the AFL draft in round 1. In his career, he played for the Houston Oilers, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the New England Patriots, a career that spanned 10 years from 1967 until 1976. He was a 3-time AFL All-Star. He is on the AFL all-time team. He is an AFL Rookie of the Year, played his college ball at Michigan State, and was a two-time All-American at Michigan State in 1965 and 1966, and Michigan State has retired his number 90. No one else can ever wear the number 90 again. So we lost George Webster in 2007 at the age of 61. And while some would say he is gone, I would say he is never forgotten. He is one of the all-time greats from our area right here in the upstate. Folks, the votes are open for you right now. 71307 on the text line is where you can get to us on the voting. You got Zion Williamson against George Webster. And I'm curious, guys, if you are going to vote for Zion in this matchup, can I ask you why? Can I ask you what about Zion gets the dub? Right? Like, what about Zion beats George Webster? That he was more hyped, that he was more highly regarded coming out of high school? What would beat George Webster? George Webster, All-American on the AFL all-time team, born and raised and from the upstate, right? Whereas Zion Williamson, to me, Diesel, here we go. I'm gonna insert my vote for George Webster. And I'm going to do it because, to me, even though the biographical profile for Pistol Pete Maravich was similar to Zion, and I voted for Pistol Pete, to me, George Webster is a freaking stud and a superstar. And given that, and given Zion Williamson, like, I don't know, is Zion Williamson somebody you guys want to be tied to today? Is being tied to Zion Williamson a positive or a negative? It's not about who was the most hyped. George Webster is on pace right now to have a better career professionally than Zion Williamson was, right? So, I don't know. Freshman and sophomore seasons, Zion Williamson attended Spartanburg Day School. You know that. I know that as well. As a junior, Williamson averaged 38 points, 13 rebounds, and 3 steals a game. What I do not know, did Zion Williamson play all 4 years of his high school ball here, Diesel? Was he at Spartanburg Day School all 4 years? You guys know that. I don't know the answer to that. Okay, I'm not familiar with that. Okay, so I know he was here for some of the time. I do not know if he was here for all the time. If you do know that, let us know. 71307 on the text line is where you can get to us. We've got a vote coming in for Zion, a vote coming in for George Webster, another vote coming in for George Webster, and another vote coming in for George Webster. If you are hearing this right now, I need you to vote. If you're hearing me speak this right now, I need you to vote. Best way to do it, open your phone, bring up your text screen, put in the numbers 71307. That's the number to text to, okay? Then hit enter. Put the first word as fan, and then give me the name that you're voting for. So you're going to text to 71307, and your screen will say fan George Webster or fan Zion Williamson. Did Zion play all 4 years at Spartanburg Day School? That is what I do not know at this time. Diesel, what is your vote today? You got George Webster, you got Zion Williamson. Where are you going?
Oh, that's an easy one. It's George Webster. The dude did it at every level of the game. He did it for a long time. I think it's Dan B here cracks a joke. He says, "So you're telling me George Webster played more games than Zion?" Yeah, he did. Look, the guy was a monster. The guy was a monster by his stats. I really don't know a whole lot about him. It's a name that I had never heard before. It's why It's why this Upstate's favorite athlete is so great, because people are getting exposed to the memories and the stats and the legacies of great players from around here. And look, we could be talking about a situation from like 5 years from now that Zion's out of the league. We could be talking about that. So, like, do we really want to push a guy forward who may not even be playing the game at the highest level in a couple of years?
By the way, George Webster, and Dan B's joke is a good one. Despite football for George and basketball for Zion, George Webster has played in more games. He's also a member of the College Football Hall of Fame. 2-time All-American, 3-time AFL All-Star, was the 5th pick in the draft, played for the Oilers, Steelers, and Patriots. George Webster. Because of the consistency of the performance and because of the unknown and the negative juju surrounding Zion Williamson right now, I am going with George Webster. But I still have not gotten an answer from any of you. Did Zion play at Spartanburg Day School all 4 years here in high school? Was he here for all 4 years, or was he just here for a couple of years in high school? You guys tell us. By the way, Wofford was the first school that offered Zion a scholarship. They did so his freshman year in high school. Freshman year in high school. 71307 is where you can get to us. George Webster's got a couple votes from Diesel and I. It would be a seeding upset. Because George Webster is the 6 and Zion Williamson is the 3 in this bracket, in this region. The winner of this matchup would take on the winner of 2-seed Deebo Samuel and 7-seed Anthony Simmons in the round of 16 in the Sweet 16. 844-FAN-PHONE is the number. That's 844-326-3663. Spur Daddy wants me to know that Zion did play all 4 years at Spartanburg Day School. Texter says, who is George Webster? We just gave you the bio of George Webster, Texter. If you need to hear it again, you can open the Odyssey app and hit the rewind button. It'll be right there for you.
We had a phone call there from Gary, who wants to cast his vote for George Webster. He said his son used to go get autographs from Zion when he was at Spartanburg Day, but does not believe that he was there for 4 years.
He does not believe he was there. Guys, we got a dispute here because Spur Daddy says he was there for all 4 years. We have a caller who says he wasn't. Can anybody confirm or deny that Zion was, in fact, at Spartanburg Day School for all 4 years? I mean, that's, you know, I mean, that would at least tie him to the area more than Pistol Pete Maravich was, right? Texter says Zion would not beat Pistol Pete Maravich or Kevin Garnett. Drop him like a bad habit. So you see, Diesel, like there's work ethic questions. There's a porn star issue here. There's a Twinkie issue here. There's a step away from the buffet line issue here. There's a not playing in a playoff game when you're doing windmill dunks issue here.
Hey, another local favorite son. Well, he's not local. He played his college ball here. But Deshaun Watson was videoed hanging out with porn stars also.
That's true.
Remember that there was a video of him and Mia Khalifa in
I remember that.
In a house somewhere. They were playing like Nerf basketball. So some similar situation there, hanging out with porn stars.
Getting a couple confirmations now. Law Dog says Zion played all 4 years here. A texter says, I can send you the screenshot that Zion played all 4 years here. That's what the Wikipedia page seemed to be insinuating. But, folks, I wasn't here when Zion was here doing his thing. The closest thing I've gotten to Zion is driving by Spartanburg Day School to see where he played. And then we also had Lee Sarter, his high school coach, who is now the head coach at Erskine College, on this show as well to talk about his most prized pupil. Why have we not had him on of late? Because, like, guys, I got to keep it real with folks, and I don't want to do that to Zion's coach. Like, the hell is up with your kid, man? Like, can you get his ass in shape? Literally, figuratively. Like, what's going on with him? That's why we had him on recently, because it's kind of, frankly, I think a lot of the folks tied to Zion are a little bit embarrassed about what's become of him. You never know what millions of dollars is going to do to people, you know? And in Zion's case, it made him fat and happy, literally. All right, my friends, coming up next, we will get your votes in terms of who is going to win the entire thing. All right, and on the line, a chance for you to host a segment of this show next month. Get your crazy fingers ready. If you need to see the bracket, all right, the bracket is posted to our Facebook page, The Fan Upstate, and it is the pinned tweet on our Twitter page as well. All right, so you can see the bracket. We're going to take your award-winning predictions as to who is going to win this thing. We're going to do so next, right here on the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides. Mark, Ryan, and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate. What's good, everybody? This is the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. Okay, you've got exactly 8 minutes to take part in this little contest that we've got going on. Have you ever wanted to be a sports radio show host? How many shows out there give you a chance to become a sports radio show host for a day? All right. Here's what we need you to do. We have posted, all right, on, let's see here. We have posted on Facebook at The Fan Upstate, on Twitter at The Fan Upstate, the full bracket. You don't even have to scroll down. They're pinned on both of them. All right, pinned on both of them. We have printed the full bracket for you in our Fan Upstate's favorite athlete of the Upstate bracket, right? And you're going to be able to see all 32 participants in this thing. Now, what we need is your prediction of who's going to win. Now, if you are smart, you are not going to pick who you want to win unless you actually believe that that is the person that is going to win. Okay? So I will give you an example here. All right? To me, in terms of who I want to see win, okay, I would love to see Marcus Lattimore win the bracket because he's been a great dude, because he mentors young people, because his career was taken away from him. But why do I not think Marcus Lattimore is going to win? Because according to most, he wasn't even the best running back at his own school. George Rogers is the best Gamecock of all time, toting the rock. Marcus Lattimore is probably number 2. So if I were to predict who is going to win this thing, and I say Marcus Lattimore because I think it'd be really cool if he won it, I'm not making a great pick because I don't know. I think because of the injury, as sad as it is, there's other athletes whose accomplishments surpass them. The beautiful thing is that the name of the bracket is just the Upstate's favorite athlete. That means that you don't have to vote for necessarily the best guy. You can vote for your favorite guy. That's all you got to do. All right? So, without further ado, who is going to win? Who is going to be crowned the Upstate's all-time favorite athlete? That athlete from Upstate South Carolina that is the most beloved by you. Who is going to win this thing? We're going to take your predictions right now on the text line, and then here's what I'm going to do. When we know the winner of this next month, I'm going to earmark this day, June 16th. I'm going to be able to go back and look at the text messages from this day, and the first person who had the winning athlete is going to have the chance to host a segment of this show. Here's what we need. We need, via the text line right now, your winner and your name. 71307. Start your text with the word fan, and away you go on the show. Have you sent us your name? Dan B has. He says, Shoeless Joe. From Dan B. A texter that did not send us his name gave us Kevin Garnett. There's no way for me to crown a winner there because I don't know who it is. Mad Craft has submitted David Pearson. He and the 105 NASCAR wins on the sheet here. David Pearson, who is your... Now, again, we're going to ask that if you participate in this and you win, you actually really want to host a segment of this show. We do not want, people to participate and then chicken out of hosting, right? The pressure's on when you're hosting, man. I'm telling you. I get butterflies before every single show. I hope that never goes away. Shoeless Joe Jackson gets a vote from J.D. Wyatt in Simpsonville. Brian White says Marcus Lattimore is the easy choice for him as to who is going to be the winner of this here bracket. Diesel, another person I'd like to see win is Betsy Rawls. She was as dominant an athlete as the upstate has ever seen. She dominated the women's tennis tour for a long time. And I worry that she's not going to get necessarily, she might not even come out of her own region because she's old school, like very, 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 very old school. I think Kevin Garnett, just my hunch, perhaps enough people dislike him in the upstate that he's not going to win. And I worry that Marcus Lattimore, I worry that the injury is going to hurt him. And the fact that, he wasn't even the all-time best running back at South Carolina. So if I was here to predict my winner today of the all-time favorite athlete from the upstate, it would be Shoeless Joe Jackson. That would be my number one pick. But could it be David Pearson, a 3 seed? We've got unbelievable 2 seeds. We've got Jim Rice. We've got DeAndre Hopkins, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, and Deebo Samuel. All right, Diesel, your pick to win. I'm going Shoeless Joe.
I think Shoeless Joe has a good chance to win this thing. I'm going to say that when it comes time to get a hold of it, the South Carolina fan base will, and Marcus Lattimore will win the whole thing.
Wow. Marcus Lattimore is going to get it done. He's going to get it done. We're getting a tweet, ladies and gentlemen, that where is Ja Morant in this bracket? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Suspended.
But Dalzell, South Carolina is not the upstate, right? That's where he was born. He went to Crestwood in Sumter, South Carolina. Sumter's not the upstate, right?
No.
That's not. I don't know. You guys would know more about South Carolina geography than I would. Let's see here. TD Hilka says Kevin Garnett is going to win.
Sumter is near the beach, by the way.
Matt M says Gaffney and South Carolina's own Sidney Rice is going to win. That's we appreciate the text, Matt M, but that's an impossibility because Sidney Rice lost yesterday.
Yeah.
To Pistol Pete Maravich. He lost yesterday. Robin Inman with a unique one. He's going Deebo Samuel for the W. And then Cocky Bob Tater Hater is going Marcus Lattimore to win the entire thing. You win this, my friends. You win this. You are hosting a segment of the show next month. Diesel's going Marcus Lattimore. I'm going Shoeless Joe Jackson as the winner. What say you? 71307 is where you guys can get to us on the show. Coming up next, we've got Heisman Trophy voter Brent Beard set to join the show, kicking around all of the comings and goings of college football. We'll do that with him next, right here on the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides. Mark Ryan and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate. be anything but equitable. This is not equal. The Florida Gators schedule in 2024 is going to go down as the most difficult schedule in the history of college football. They've got 11 Power 5 opponents. They've got Miami, UCF now in the Big 12, and Florida State in the non-conference. And then in the SEC, they get Kentucky. Find me the easy game here. Kentucky, LSU, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Georgia, Tennessee, Texas, and Mississippi State. Mississippi State has Will Rogers, second team All-SEC in a majority of magazines. Give me a break. Joining us right now, Heisman Trophy voter Brent Beard on the line. Brent, can you make me feel a little bit better about this man? Like, I've been apoplectic for the majority of this week. I don't know, why there was this mandate, why everyone had to play Oklahoma and Texas. And I wish they had made this random. And I feel like my school got really stiffed here.
Well, it's one of the most challenging schedules we've ever seen for Florida. And I mean, listen, when you're playing, obviously they play Georgia every year, but when you're playing Texas and Tennessee and LSU, I mean, that's really unbelievable when you think about it. Then you throw in the non-conference games, as you talked about with Miami. I mean, if there's any good thing about that is it would be Billy Napier's third year. Fortunately, they're not dealing with that schedule this year. But no, it's not equitable, and I don't think it ever will be. Frankly, the way the schedule is drawn up, I think they would tell you they tried, but there are several teams like Florida who got rough schedules. There are others who've gotten rough schedules in the past, like Arkansas, actually got a much easier schedule for them. And you've also got several schools that played each other for decades, at least for next year in 24. Those games are going away. So it was a mixed bag on the schedule, Mark.
Brent, look, a lot of these schools who have high expectations as far as win totals go. Those expectations are not going to go away anytime soon, but it's going to get now harder and harder for the Auburns, the Floridas of the world, et cetera, South Carolinas to meet those expectations. You play a harder schedule, it's more difficult to get those wins. Do you foresee in the future? Now, obviously, money comes into this, and that can be the balm that soothes a lot of issues. But do you see high-profile coaching candidates not wanting to get into the SEC because the expectations are still really high, but it's that much harder to win those games, and so you're going to be out of a job just a couple of years down the road?
You might, but the reward of that is you're probably going to be fired with a nice going away present in terms of your buyout. And even with the difficult schedule, if you still get in the playoffs, even with I would say even right now, 2, possibly 3 losses, and your committee is going to be looking at strength of schedule. But I mean, you bring up a logical point, but the money and the prestige is just so good right now, Diesel, that guys are going to take chances to get in the league if they do well or not.
Brent Beard joining us here on the show. Brent, you touched on it just here, and I want to know, my feeling is the SEC's reputation is going to reach a point where everyone just knows that SEC teams with more losses are better than teams from other conferences with fewer losses. So
Right.
Here's what I would say to you, Brent. You're on the if when the selection committee gets down to brass tacks, and you got a 3-loss LSU and a 2-loss Washington for the final spot, how is the SEC gonna get the nod there? 3 losses in their league versus 2 losses in the Pac-12.
They might. I mean, you never know what the committee is going to do, but I mean, if you've got LSU with 3 losses and you've got a strength of schedule of 5, and you've got Washington with 2 losses, and you've got a strength of schedule of 75, I mean, they very well may go and with an LSU that has a better strength of schedule. But again, that is part of the reason that the SEC, it's not the biggest reason, but part of the reason why the SEC decided to go with 8 and 24 for their conference games instead of going to 9. So again, that because the league wanted to look at, or at least they said they did, we want to know what the committee is going to do with strength of schedule. Well, I think we already kind of know what they're going to do. They will reward it. So again, and does this mean, to go a little further with this question, that will schools, because they're going to be rewarded, at least we think they are, with strength of schedule, or are they actually going to schedule better non-conference opponents? That's another thing to consider.
Brent, we I don't remember if we broached this topic a few weeks ago when it initially came up, but Shane Beamer got himself pretty bent out of shape about tampering, and it seems at the moment that there's not a whole lot anyone can do about it other than saying, hey, we won't blow the whistle on you if you don't blow the whistle on us. Do you foresee any kind of actual legislation to try to slow down or tamp out tampering between rosters? Is there anything happening on that front?
No, frankly. I mean, there's talk about it a little bit. I think and if you ask a coach, and we will in SEC media days, is there anything going on that would punish someone for this? That will be interesting to see what the answer is. But as far as for now, beyond anything that's probably said behind closed doors in a committee, I don't know of anything active going on that would be able to punish someone for tampering. And obviously the school that tampered would deny it, I'm sure. So you may have a he said in this situation, but I certainly get the point. Is it right? Of course it's not, but not a whole lot going on right now to deal with it.
You know, Brent, I took this photo a couple of days ago. Where do we get our news from? Only from the highest, most credible sources known as message boards here, Brent. So I got this particular post from a message board the other day, and it was from Sooner Chris, Oklahoma Sooners, and he says, man, looking at the schedule, is this really what we want? How is this great? Just more losses per season and fewer conference championships. Is that what we want? This looks terrible to me, but the TV networks have bamboozled so many into thinking the TV's interest is also your interest. It's not. I appreciate the point there, Brent, and I want to ask you, my friend, do you think when all of the SEC teams, and I remember seeing that, you know, the total take for each SEC team is going up by either 16 or 18 million a year by adding Oklahoma and Texas. Do you think there's going to be buyer's remorse when you have really good programs that can't get past 7-5 or 8-4?
No. Well, I don't think there will be for bringing in Oklahoma and Texas. I mean, when you've got that kind of an opportunity with that brand, with that money, with those players, the coaches, not just in football, but in these other sports, no, there never will be. Not with those two. What they can do for your television ratings by being able to play one or maybe unfortunately both those teams right now. But I will say this at this point, and I'm not saying they won't be great later, but there are a lot of people made the point that are Oklahoma and Texas in this juncture, are they in the upper echelon of the SEC or are they in the middle of the pack? So both those schools have got a long way to go right now to get where they want to be. But again, and anybody will say this, and in a lucid moment, is if you get a chance to go to the SEC, or for that matter, to the Big Ten, you're not going to turn it down.
Brent, any movement, any new details on the college football playoff expansion and what exactly the format is going to be? I mean, I know we've, for the longest time, believed that it's going to be 12 and that it'll be 6 highest ranked conference champions and 6 at-larges, but is there any more detail than that being ironed out?
No, that's a good question. They're still trying to figure that out, and I think they we'll certainly get more details on it. Fortunately, they've still got some time in order to do so. I still think they're trying to hammer out some of the details of exactly when is next year going to start. Will everybody start playing on week 0 instead of week 1, if that makes sense? And will the conference championship game still be held on Thanksgiving weekend? The rivalries on Thanksgiving weekend, and then the championship game is a week after that, or are we going to have it where the championship games are going to be on Thanksgiving weekend, which is one of the options that we've heard. So I would imagine that at some point, probably mid-season and toward the end of the season, we'll have a little bit more clarity on that, but that's something everybody wants to know.
Well, Brent, to further that question, something that you brought up there, rivalry weekend. How many of these rivalry weekend traditional matchups are going to be disturbed by the new SEC scheduling policy? Were there any of them that you said, like, wow, how could they take that game away?
Well, to their credit, a lot of these, I mean, Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, Florida, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, I mean, I think they've tried to keep as many of those together as they possibly could. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't have some others that are at least temporarily going away in this juncture. I mean, for instance, Alabama will not play Ole Miss for the first time since 1991. And again, what we can't forget is what is going to be new is we're not going to have divisions. So, Martin Diesel, my question too is, and I'm going to be guilty of this also, how long is it going to take for our minds to adjust that we will no longer have divisions in football? Now, we've gotten away from it in basketball, but guys, football is a different animal. Our thinking is going to have to change over the next few years.
Brent, got a very important question for you. Dolly Parton or Farrah Fawcett?
Well, I mean, I grew up with Farrah, and of course, I didn't have one, but I had friends who had the poster, and everybody watched Charlie's Angels. So I guess for my at this point, where I am in life, or where I was back then, being a child of the 70s as I am, I would probably say Farrah, but I certainly give Dolly a lot of credit. I mean, she is. I mean, how many decades has Dolly been in the business and sung and just kind of reinvents herself all the time? There are few have done what she's done.
Well, Brent, I would raise you Heather Thomas, who was in the early '80s TV show The Fall Guy. Which '70s or '80s TV show car did you want the most?
Oh my, the Starsky and Hutch car. That thing was pretty hot too. And then the oh shoot, well, the car that basically did everything on its own.
Kit from Knight Rider.
Yeah, thank you.
Starsky and Hutch, they drove a '76 Gran Torino.
Yeah.
And look, that I mean that Gran Torino was about as hot as Mark's career right now is. So I give, but listen, and wasn't it red red and white. Y'all remember that?
Oh,
Remember
yeah.
the colors?
Hopefully,
it was,
hopefully no one reports that the Gran Torino has a flat after you said that, Brent. Okay. All right. Let's hope not. Hey, Brent. Most I took us off track, and I apologize dearly dearly for that, my friend. Conference most likely to be viable in 2033, ACC or the Pac-12. You can only have one.
2033.
2033, 10 years from now. Which is more likely to still be viable?
The ACC. With this caveat that you've got a situation where you still, even in 2033, that grant of rights is still in place. Right? I mean, that's the amazing thing about that. It goes to 2036, and I'll add to that by saying, I mean, guys, the reality of it with the Pac-12, I mean, they could virtually. I'm exaggerating here, but yet I'm not. They could be out of business in 3 months, couldn't they? If certain dominoes fall.
One quick follow-up. San Diego State is informing the Mountain West Conference that they're leaving,
Yes.
Brent. Where are they going? They've been linked to both the Big 12 and the Pac-12. What are you hearing?
Probably. It depends on which report you see at this point. I'm gonna probably say the Pac-12. But again, I mean, I've heard. So yeah, I think that's kind of what you're. The thing that you're seeing here, that they've given notice with this. So I mean, I hope they have options, plural, with an S on the end of it.
His name is Brent Beard. He is our favorite Heisman Trophy voter because he is our only Heisman Trophy voter, and we love him dearly. Brent, hope the new place is going well, my friend. Is it?
It is. Except the neighbors upstairs at 3:30 a.m. Actually, I don't know if they turned something over. I don't know what happened, but it was
maybe they turned each other over, Brent. Maybe that was the problem.
Maybe, but it was loud enough where I actually got up and had to look around to make sure someone didn't come in, someone didn't break in. So apartment living is just amazing. But again, I'll leave on this note, and if folks need to know, they need to look at that, as Diesel said, that Gran Torino, and how beautiful that car was, and how close that lets you know about where both you guys' career is rocketing up the charts. Okay.
Yes, Brent. Happy Father's Day from us to you. Okay. Hope you have a great Father's Day weekend.
I have two daughters that I love dearly, who also threw about half the stuff I own out, or either they put it somewhere and I hadn't found it yet. That's daughters, okay?
We got a Farrah Fawcett poster in the mail to you, my friend. We'll see you soon. All right, take care, buddy. Brent Beard, Heisman Trophy voter, and First Coast News in Jacksonville, joining us right here on the show.
Was that the poster? Was that in the movie Shawshank Redemption, or was that too late? Because remember, he had the poster that was Raquel Welch, and then he replaced it with someone else, or he replaced the poster with Raquel Welch, and that was what he used to cover the hole that he had dug in the wall.
What was the poster? Come on, Offsiders. What was the poster that was the final poster that he had up as he was digging through the wall? Anthony,
I want to say it was the Raquel
Tim
Welch.
Robbins, right? Tim Robbins.
I think it was the Raquel Welch where she was wearing like the animal skin bikini.
Coming up next on the show, we are going to take our own stab at the expanded college football playoff in 2023, and we'll do so next here on the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides. Mark, Ryan, and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate. It's Offsides. Mark, Ryan, and Diesel. We are the fan upstate. Diesel and I debating during the commercial break whether I should watch Better Call Saul or not. I haven't because I can't bear to watch anything that is like a Breaking Bad light. I've had the greatest. I don't want to go back from there. Diesel was telling me about a scene in Better Call Saul. Diesel, I think I'd rather not hear the details of the scene, but I got the gist of it.
Yeah.
For those of you that have watched both Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, is Better Call Saul a worthy watch? Yes or no? Did you start Better Call Saul and didn't do it for you? Or did you like it every bit as much? What do you say? Texter says, by the way, the poster in Shawshank was Raquel Welch for sure. The Farrah Fawcett poster was the one with her bikini. Weird. Apparently it was cold at the photo shoots. So says the texter. Another texter says Raquel Welch was the last. Is Shawshank Redemption, I think that's got to be the greatest movie of all time. And I'm going to tell you why I believe that.
Clearly, you've never seen anything with Nicolas Cage in it.
Well, why? Nicolas Cage is your greatest act?
Face Off.
Oh,
all I got to say is Face Off.
Oh, come on.
And Con Air.
Come on.
I mean, we all know that's where Aaron Rodgers got the outfit from. That day he walked to camp with his hair out and the white wife beater on.
I have a reason for this, Steve. Okay, I have a legitimate reason for this, Steve. I have seen hundreds of lists of people's top 5 movies. Okay, hundreds of them. You know, like top 5 this or that, top 5 foods, top 5 bands, top 5 artists, top 5 movies. And Shawshank Redemption has got to be the #1 movie of all time because Shawshank Redemption is in every single list. Everybody's got Shawshank.
You think it's better than Forrest Gump?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Well, it's not about what I think, Diesel. It's about every time you see a list, it's in there. It's in there. You know? I'm sorry it's not Face Off or Forrest Gump to you. Texter says Better Call Saul is worth it if you enjoyed Breaking Bad. So in order to become like the greatest of something of all time, you got to be able to form a consensus. And when everyone does their top 5 list, that movie's always in there. Always in there. As a matter of fact, Diesel, if you're asking me my top 5 all-time favorite movies, the 2 that I know are in there are Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Shawshank Redemption. Then I'm going to lose points with some of you because I'm going to throw one of the American Pie movies in there because whether you want to give it credit for this or not, it was revolutionary. Like if you were in a theater the first time that American Pie came out, there was never a movie like that when that movie came out.
Yeah.
And the whole theater was literally peeing themselves in laughter when that came out.
Yeah. Yeah. Nobody had ever seen anything like it. It invented a word, invented an acronym that we still use to this day.
Which is?
MILF.
That's right.
MILF is still in there. And I'm blanking on the actress's name. I just watched, not that long ago, season 2 of White Lotus, and she's the main character in White Lotus. But the actress that played Stifler's mom, she was an absolute smoke show in that movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
She was barely in it. She was barely in it as Stifler's mom, but she was a smoke show.
But she was in it long enough to reach your heart.
Mm-hmm.
She really did. Oh, hi, Mark. Clearly you've never seen The Room. What is The Room, Diesel? Have you seen it?
No.
Okay.
Can't be that good.
Yeah. I'd like to leave the room, please, if you would be so kind. See, Brandon Burnett, this is what I'm worried about, Brandon. He says, my wife and I started Better Call Saul and made it to maybe 3 episodes. It was a big letdown. Diesel,
but Brandon Burnett, were you a fan of Breaking Bad? Because I've talked to people, and I don't understand these people who say that Breaking Bad didn't captivate their attention. Like, wait a minute, it's a fascinating thing that this guy just goes through. And you're telling, like, I didn't like it. I didn't get past the first episode. Really?
The Breaking Bad, Diesel, honestly, I'm being as candid as I can possibly be. The first season was good. The second season was freaking fantastic.
Yeah.
And it only went up from there. So it's like, I could see people starting Breaking Bad and being like, I don't know if this is for me. I think I watched the first episode and I didn't watch the whole series for like 6 months later because the first episode, I think the first season was good, but then you get so
the
hooked
first
after
scene.
that.
The first scene is a middle-aged guy standing in the desert next to a wrecked Winnebago, flop sweating profusely, with nothing but a pair of tidy whities on, and he's about to blow his brains out because the cops are coming.
Yeah.
And you say, "Nah, I'm not interested in that." Like,
No.
really?
No, it's good.
What?
I'm telling you.
That doesn't say compelling to you?
No, I'm telling you, man, it's really good. But as it builds into suspense into the final
Yeah.
seasons with Hank and everything going on there, and I'm purposely not trying to be spoiler for all you guys as well.
Look, if you haven't seen Breaking Bad by now, I don't give a damn about spoiling it for you.
Yeah.
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 It's been off the air for like 8 years.
Diesel,
9 years.
why do we have 2 texters saying Jennifer Coolidge?
She was Stifler's mom.
Oh,
That's the actress's name. I couldn't pull it out of the ether that quickly, but thank you, texters.
I saw an interview with her, and she was going on, Diesel, about, I'm trying to remember where this was. Was it Netflix, or there was a special on her? And it was like, yeah, playing Stifler's mom was great for my sex life.
Yeah.
She actually came out and said that.
She's kind of nuts. And
She's
she'll
like,
say anything.
I haven't had a lot of relationships, but I've had a lot of sex. That's what Jennifer Coolidge says. And it kind of reveals that, like, she played herself in that role.
Yeah.
Like, she was playing who she really is. She was a vixen. She is naughty. She would potentially do something like she did in that movie. Maybe, maybe not. Brandon Burnett says, have you guys watched Dexter? Great show.
Didn't like it.
My sister got me the season 1 DVD, Diesel, and I hope she's not listening because I couldn't get into it.
Yeah. I don't like being narrated to. Just show me what's happening. Like, I don't want to, it's just like I don't want to read subtitles at the bottom of the screen. I don't want to be narrated to. Just show me what's happening. You don't have to talk me through every excruciating detail of the show. I get it. I'm watching it. I can see what's happening with my own 2 eyes. I don't need you to talk me through it. I hated that show.
Stop talking to me. All right. Shut up and let me watch. Sincerely, Diesel. Coming up next on the show, I'm going to share with you guys my early first look at the Who in the expanded playoff in 2024. My name is Mark Ryan, and this is Offsides with Mark Ryan and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate. It's Offsides, Mark, Ryan, and Diesel. We are the Fan Upstate. What's good, YouTube channel? How you guys doing today? Appreciate all the comments. Wow, this thing is really growing fast, man. Dan B, JD Wyatt, Spur Daddy, Rockefeller, all of these guys just chiming along, man. It feels like, you know what the YouTube chat has the feel of, Diesel, is it feels like happy hour. Feels like happy hour in there. You know,
Yeah.
The guys are happy. They're having an hour. They might be having a beverage or two. Just feels like a good old time.
And it feels like, it feels like an old school chat room, like an early internet chat room where the conversation just ebbed and flowed kind of all over the place. There was never really a rhyme or reason to it. There's no like, this is a thread about recruiting for the 2024 season. We only talk about recruiting for that season here. No, it just sort of ebbs and flows and kind of goes all over the place. And it's a user generated experience. JD Wyatt, Spur Daddy, Dan B, Madcraft, all you guys who were in there yesterday. I think that was the most conversation we ever had in the YouTube chat.
Yeah, Diesel hit me yesterday. He's like, Mark, there's like 200 something comments.
Yeah, it was over 200 messages
Yeah,
in the thread yesterday.
That's awesome, guys. We absolutely love to see that, man. Thank you so much. Let's keep it up. If you can, spread the word for us. Let's help us increase our subscriber counts on the YouTube page. Can you do that for us?
We're about to hit 200.
That would be freaking fantastic. So I want to get to this. I was thinking about this the other day. The college football playoff expanding in 2024. And before I do that, let me quickly address a couple of texts that came in for people saying the same thing. Mark, you're pouting over the Gators schedule. It just means more. That's cute, Texter. Texter says, Mark, don't you want tougher opponents? You're always complaining about teams not playing anyone. Texter, when the SEC expands, okay, I'm going to do a complete about-face about this. And when the playoff expands, I'm going to do a complete about-face about this because everyone wants to get into the playoff. The SEC, I think, is too strong to get into the playoff or to get into the playoff with Florida's schedule.
You need to add some sacrificial lambs that you can beat up on.
You do. And I would tell this to you guys. I think in 2024, which is going to be year 3 for Mario Cristobal at Miami, it's going to be year 5 for Mike Norvell at Florida State. I do not think Georgia or Alabama would go 10-2 against Florida's schedule. And you got to go 10-2 to make the playoffs. Okay? Now, among the games they could potentially lose, Miami, Florida State, LSU, Texas A&M, Georgia, Tennessee, Texas, Mississippi State. I understand Georgia's not going to play itself. I get it. But I'm here to tell you, I don't think there's a team in the country that would finish 10-2 against that schedule. I don't. Sorry. So I want my team to make the playoff. The schedule is too hard to do so. You're going to have teams that Las Vegas regards as top 10 teams not sniffing the playoff because the SEC is too strong. Texter asked me about Greg Berhalter being re-upped by the U.S. men's national team. I will get to that in the top 5 at 5.
I have a great idea. You could always just invite Sewanee back into the SEC. The University of the South. Don't you know about them?
Oh, no.
Sewanee in Sewanee, Tennessee.
No.
They were a founding member of the SEC.
What?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Are you yanking my chain?
That's my understanding.
Sewanee
was a founding member of the SEC. It was Sewanee and I think Tulane both left the SEC.
I'm asking if Diesel's yanking my chain because I'm wearing one today. Sewanee are they a founding member of the SEC? That's news to me, man. Folks, here is what I will share with you. Okay. I have put together my best guess as to the 12 teams that are going to be in the college football playoff in 2024. Yes, Diesel.
Sewanee left the SEC after the 1940 season, and it transitioned its athletic programs to lower divisions of intercollegiate play. So Sewanee voluntarily left the SEC in 1940.
That's the kind of decision, Diesel, it'll make you jump off the bridge.
Yeah.
That's the kind of decision. Can you imagine doing that or like quitting the Beatles? Can you imagine quitting the Beatles?
It'd be like breaking up with Scarlett Johansson right before she got hot and famous. Damn it.
You don't think she was always hot?
Oh,
She
I'm
wasn't
pretty sure.
always
Yeah.
famous.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, she was probably like, gorgeous in high school. And then, as you get famous, you start to get hotter because you have people who are doing your hair and your makeup, and you've got people cooking all your meals for you to make sure you get in perfect shape for movies. You just get hotter and hotter as you get famous.
Let us reset a couple of different things here. Number one, Clemson got the commitment from a stud blue chip quarterback for 2025. His name is Blake Hebert. Blake Hebert, I did speak to Blake today, was planning on coming on the show. It's a big day in the Hebert family. Don't blame him for that. And he's tied up in some family obligations right now. I do not know if we're going to be able to get Blake on before the end of the show, but I'm going to make every effort to get him on sooner rather than later. It was a massive commitment for Clemson because Notre Dame offered him, Penn State offered him, Auburn offered him. He is one of those cats. He is one of those guys that is rapidly rising. Okay. I found a link from him on 24/7 Sports that had him rated as a 3-star. The next link I had him rated as a 4-star. On 3 Sports has him as the 6th best quarterback in the 2025 class. They've got him as a high 4-star, as in high. And I'll tell you what, he is poised to be in the Elite 11 quarterbacks next year. And Clemson got the commitment. And there was a huge hullabaloo. Oh, Clemson is striking out on all these quarterbacks in 2024. Yeah, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you not commit to Clemson in 2024? Do you want to sit behind Cade Klubnik and Christopher Vizina? That doesn't even make any sense. It's not even that you're next in line. You're the next in line's next in line.
Yeah, it stinks that you have to recruit elite quarterbacks year in and year out. But that's that position where guys, they want to come in and start, and if they don't, they're gone. But so many of these guys bust. They don't turn out to be what all the hype suggested they were going to be. So it's got to be rough on a recruiting director, on a head coach, on a quarterbacks coach who's recruiting these guys when you're putting all this time, money, effort, and attention into an athlete, only to realize there's a good chance this guy's not going to be here in 2 years.
Yeah. And look, guys, I want Christopher Vizina, Cade Klubnik, Blake Hebert to be great. But if I said to you guys 3 years from now, all of them are going to be there, like that would be the dumbest bet you could ever make in your life. 3 years from now, every single one of them are going to be there. That's not going to be the case, right? The cream will rise to the crop, and those who are not being selected will transfer to somewhere else. The other thing we have got going on today, my friends, is we have asked you your prediction on who is going to win the Upstate's favorite athlete bracket. Okay. And we have our matchup of today open as well. It is out of the Rushmore region, 3-seed Zion Williamson against 6-seed George Webster. Now, we've had some people say, well, Mark, I don't know who George Webster is that well. And there's a good reason for that. He's passed away. He passed away in 2007 at the age of 61. But he was from Anderson, South Carolina. He's a linebacker, went to Michigan State, was a 2-time All-American at Michigan State, is a member of the College Football Hall of Fame, was a first-round pick in the 1967 AFL draft right before the merger with the NFL, was the 5th overall selection, played 10 years for the Houston Oilers, Pittsburgh Steelers, and New England Patriots, was a 3-time AFL All-Star, was an AFL All-Time Team member, an AFL Rookie of the Year, and most importantly, Diesel did not squander his potential, which is more than I can say for the guy who's going up against Zion Williamson. And for that reason, George Webster has my vote today.
Yeah, I am trying to scroll back here and find it. Spur Daddy, about an hour ago, said he had seen a Bleacher Report notification pop up on his phone, and it said the Hornets prefer trading the number 2 pick for Brandon Ingram instead of Zion. Oof. That star is falling so fast. So fast.
Yeah, well, you can rely on Brandon Ingram. Best ability as availability and reliability. Texter says, who the F is George Webster? I just told you who he is. All right? The main man achieved his potential.
Don't be disrespectful, Texter. That's not cool.
Yeah, man. Not at all. All right. We've got the top 5 at 5 coming your way next here on Offsides. In the top 5 at 5, the U.S. men's national team makes a commitment. Ja Morant gets a suspension. Michael Jordan makes a transaction, and a great Clemson baseball player is leaving. That's all in the top 5 at 5 coming your way next here on Offsides. We are the Fan Upstate. Detrimental to the league. Morant released a statement apologizing for his actions and the harm he's done. Quote, the kids who look up to me, I'm sorry for failing you as a role model. I promise I'm going to be better. Meanwhile, Michael Jordan reportedly released to sell his majority stake in the Hornets.
I mean, hey, just going to this Elite 11 camp will probably raise Blake's star rating.
Yeah.
Which stinks because there's all these ways for these elite quarterbacks to keep inching up their star rating, even though they haven't changed as players.
Three shots off the pace. The U.S. Soccer Federation officially announces the return of Greg Berhalter as the national team manager, and he gets a new contract for the 2026 World Cup. Friday afternoon baseball at Wrigley Field, bottom half of the 7th. It's the home Cubs leading the Orioles by a score of 9-2. I'm Chris McCresky. Looking for CBS Sports Radio online? Your favorite hosts, the best sports content and entertainment, are available 24/7 on social media and YouTube, and in the palm of your hand with the free Odyssey app.
Now CBS Sports Radio.
On your radio at 97.7 FM, 1330 AM, Greenville, 97.1 FM, 950 AM, Spartanburg.
Listen on your phone. Download the Odyssey app and search the Fan Upstate.
There's a whole lot more to know about sound, but you really want to go into the subject.
Your smart speaker, just say play 97 The Fan Upstate. On your HD radio at WFBC HD3. There's just one more thing. And on your computer at
TheFanUpstate.com.
Hello, I'm Howard Tackler, founder of Innovation Refunds. You've heard me talking about the payroll tax refund for months. I'm so proud that we've helped over 15,000 businesses claim over $5 billion in cash incentives. If you own a business, even if you've asked your CPA about this, you owe it to yourself to take another look. Every client is assigned a licensed and insured tax attorney who evaluates your company at my expense to accurately determine eligibility. Innovation Refunds has hundreds of 5-star reviews on Trustpilot and Google, and your business might be entitled to receive up to $26,000 per employee. Businesses of all types can qualify, including medical, professional,
What's good, everybody? This is the most interactive sports radio show anywhere. It's Offsides. Mark, Ryan, and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate rolling on until 7 p.m. today. You guys have a ton of options out there. We genuinely value and appreciate you making us part of your afternoon. It feels like there's an inordinately large amount of stuff going on this Friday. You got contract renewals, you have transfers, you have Oral Roberts against TCU in the College Baseball World Series, which we've got, I'm looking at right now. And Oral Roberts, did they just hit a grand slam, Diesel? Or three?
I don't know. I can't
run?
see the screen.
It was 5-3 TCU in the ninth inning. And Oral Roberts is going nuts, and now they're winning 6-5. How about that?
Love it.
How about that, my friend?
More Oral for everyone. They made a deep run in the NCAA tournament.
They did
this year, didn't they?
They did, and if they keep winning, there will in fact be more Oral.
Are they the university that's getting more run for their money than literally any other college in this country?
Have to say so. Like more bang for their buck.
Yeah.
You realize we just put bang and Oral in the same discussion here, Diesel. Shame on us. You and I are clearly going to hell. How about that 3-run home run for Oral Roberts? They lead TCU opening round of the College World Series. Man, that manager looks like somebody shot his kid. Like, come on, dude. You can't be looking like that on the bench. Your team needs you, man. Come on, man. You got to keep rolling. TCU has a 37-1 when leading after 8 innings. Only lost May 18th against Kansas State. And did they hit another? Oh, that one too looked like it was gone, and it is not.
Warning track power.
Top of the ninth inning, 2 outs. Oral Roberts 6-5 over TCU. Oral Roberts for everybody. It is time for us to do that jam. We call it the top 5 at 5. The top 5 biggest sports stories of the day, the top 5 topics we're discussing. Ladies and gentlemen of the Upstate, Offsiders. The top 5 at 5 starts right now.
And now, the top 5 at 5.
And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hit it!
5,
Couple of Clemson news and notes. Clemson, good news and bad news. What do you Clemson fans want first? Let's go with the good news today, shall we? Clemson got the commitment of 4-star 2025 quarterback prospect Blake Hebert. Hebert chose Clemson over Notre Dame, Florida State, Notre Dame, Penn State, Auburn, and others. I did speak to Blake Hebert today, and we're efforting getting Blake Hebert on the show. I just don't know when that is going to be possible. We initially said 3:20. He's got some family obligations today. You can understand that, especially considering the special nature of what today is, the day that he made his big commitment. So, congratulations to Clemson and Dabo and the fans on that commitment of Blake Hebert. We look forward to hopefully having Blake on as soon as we possibly can. The bad news for Clemson, like only the best player on the team has entered the transfer portal. And this is the part of the transfer portal that I can't stand. There is no reason for Billy Amick to enter the transfer portal. No reason whatsoever. He's starting this year, was going to start next year, led the team with a .413 batting average. In 46 games, he had 69 hits and 13 home runs. He hit a grand slam in Clemson's ACC tournament semifinal matchup against North Carolina. That was his biggest moment. His grandfather, Bill, is a Clemson alum who was a member of the university's board of trustees for more than 3 decades. And Billy Amick be like, I'm gone. I'm out. And everyone wants to know why. There are some in a Twitter group that I'm a member of that are floating the idea that Florida has thrown a $250,000 bag at Billy Amick. I cannot corroborate that, folks. All I can share with you is, that's what the message boards are rumoring right now. But I will say this. I think it's disgusting when this happens. Disgusting. It's disgusting. And the same thing just happened to the Gamecocks baseball team with Braswell. Why did he transfer? He's a star who's starting on a great team. Why would you transfer from there? You transfer if someone offered you the bag. That's the only reason you transfer. And inducements are illegal. This is illegal. It's illegal to do that. Greg Sankey told us that. You can't do that.
Yeah, look, I enjoy the schadenfreude of watching Power 5 fans bitch and moan about somebody sneaking in and taking your best player or your best recruit at the last minute. I think it's hysterical because Group of 5 fans have had to deal with that for decades. You offer a kid who maybe a high 3-star, and you think you got him locked up. He's committed until 2 days before signing day, and then all of a sudden, a random Power 5 like Iowa State comes through and offers, and he goes, "Oh, well, I want to play in the Big 10. I want to play in the Big 12. I want to play in the Pac-12," and then they're gone. So you got a guy who could have been elite and all everything type of player at a Group of 5. And then he goes off and he's just another guy. Zeb Noland was a prime example of that. Now, he didn't turn out to be a great player, but he was, I believe, App State's highest ever rated commitment at the time. And then Iowa State offered him and he's gone. He's like, "Oh, I always saw myself as a Power 5 player." Wow. Really? Well, how'd that work out for you?
Wow.
He only bounced around, 5 or 6 different schools before he finally got to play at South Carolina as a grad assistant.
Tough day for Clemson on the baseball front, just like it was a tough day for the Gamecocks with Braswell entering the transfer portal. Next up.
4.
In honor of Father's Day, folks, you might think we're going to do a touchy-feely Father's Day dad segment, like how did your dad foster your love for sports? And you would be wrong. Instead, we're going to do this. What are the who's your daddy relationships in sports in honor of Father's Day? Right? A year ago, it would have been obvious that Dabo was Beamer's daddy, that Clemson was South Carolina's daddy. Now, after the dub, I'm not so sure. South Carolina has beaten Clemson in basketball. They've beaten Clemson in baseball. They've beaten Clemson in football. In terms of the best who's your daddy relationships in sports, what athlete or team owes another athlete or team a Father's Day gift? Because they are, in fact, the son giving gifts to the daddy. I think Charles Barkley owes Michael Jordan a gift. Charles Barkley never won an NBA championship because of the existence of one Michael Jordan. But who are the daddies in different sports relationships? Does Ohio State, Michigan have a daddy? Spur Daddy said earlier in the show that Georgia is now Alabama's daddy. What do you guys say about that? What are the daddy relationships in sports? Next up.
3.
All right, at number 3, the U.S. men's national team has re-upped their coach, Greg Berhalter. He will coach the team through the 2026 World Cup. What do I think about that? I like it. Do I think Greg Berhalter is the coach that can win the United States a World Cup? No, I don't. But the U.S. is not currently in position to get the coach that can win them a World Cup. And so the best you can do is hire the coach that eventually can get you that next coach. And that could be Greg Berhalter. Look, where would the U.S. have to be to attract the interest of a coach that could really get them over the hump? I don't know, maybe 10th or 12th in the world rankings. Right now, the U.S. is 23rd, right? So we're in the top 25, but we're not Alabama or Georgia. We're more like Tulane or BYU, right? That's where we are in the top 25. That's who we are as a soccer-playing nation. I think Greg Berhalter is about as good as you can get without getting the guy, okay? And so he can be the guy behind the guy for us for another period of 4 years. I continue to tell you guys that there is one singular event that could cause me to run naked through the streets of Greenville, and therefore have you guys hope and pray that that never happens. and it would be the United States men's national team winning a World Cup. I would pray to see it before I die. Pray. Next up,
2,
Ja Morant has received his suspension, and in my opinion, it is more lenient than I thought. There's an interesting subplot to this. Adam Silver gave Ja Morant 25 games. Let's see, 25 games out of 82. Carry the 2, drop the 1, multiple by 3. He's suspended for 30.5% of Memphis's games. Why only 25 games? Well, once you start thinking about this a certain way, are you punishing Ja or are you punishing the fans? Are you punishing Ja or are you punishing the city? A city that doesn't have a lot to root for, a city that doesn't have a lot to cheer for, a city that is always top 3 in the country in murders. They've got Ja Morant toting a gun around in that city, right? So I think Adam Silver may have had leniency because he realized who really was being punished here in the long run.
Well, we've got audio here from Adrian Wojnarowski explaining why the suspension was 25 games. Here's Adrian.
Remember, 8 games last season, late in the year, and now 25 games. Here's one, and this is new, one jumping off point that has impact. If you're if you miss 18 games now, there's a 65-game minimum that players have to play to make All-NBA, to be MVP, to win Defensive Player of the Year. Well, he's out of consideration now, Ja Morant is, for any of those postseason awards. So that will kick in with this new collective bargaining agreement. You know, you looked at the Miles Bridges suspension in Charlotte, 30 games. You've got to find some precedent here. And for the league, I think the Players Association, if this was half the season, if this was the entire season, different scenarios people threw out, there wouldn't have been precedent for that. But your history does matter. Ja Morant has been under investigation by the NBA for well over a year on a number of different incidences. They went through it with him last season at the end with the gun situation in the Denver nightclub. And again, listen, his career, his future, again, as a face of this league, is in peril.
See, I actually appreciate the fact that Woj said that is a consideration for Adam Silver. Precedent. What do I always bitch and moan about with the NFL? Is that their punishment swings like a pendulum. Sometimes it's super lenient, sometimes it's super strict. You never know where the league office is going to go. You have to have some sort of precedent, some sort of common sentencing, so to speak, for transgressions like this. Otherwise, you get into a place where nobody knows what the hell the rules are. Nobody knows what the hell the suspension for breaking those rules is, and it's chaos. So I do appreciate that concern from Adam Silver.
And I appreciate the fact that Memphis is not going to lose their star for more than half the season. And what I don't know is if Ja Morant's going to get his head out of his ass between now and when that suspension is over. At the very least, I hope this has ruined his offseason to the point that he realizes that he needs help. And finally,
1,
folks, mercifully, and this is hard for me to say, because the movie Air about MJ and how he got to Nike is one of my top 5 favorite sports movies of all time. A League of Their Own is in there as well. But mercifully, the Michael Jordan era with the Charlotte Hornets has come to an end. He has sold his majority stake in the franchise, to a group led by Gabe Plotkin and Rick Schnall for $3 billion. The transaction ends Jordan's 13-year run as a majority owner. Now, this was not forced in any way, shape, or form. And when asked why Jordan was doing this, why is he doing this? The common consensus is that he's getting a great return on an investment. He bought the Hornets for $275 million, and he's selling them for $3 billion. That is more than a 10-to-1 return on an investment. Then again, Jordan makes more money in a second on his Nike residuals than you and I do in a month
Yeah, he doesn't need that money.
in a single second. So the only thing that I can come up with is he got tired of it. You know, you wonder, does this sale still happen if the Hornets got the number 1 pick in Victor Wembanyama? Maybe he sticks around a little bit longer for that. But the Hornets have felt cursed ever since his inheritance of the franchise. And no matter what role Jordan was in, whether it was GM, president, or owner, the team could not just stop stepping in it. The team could not get out of its own way. They were the face of mediocrity during his tenure. And that's something that no amount of money can ever erase from Jordan's resume. And you know what? Charles Barkley has mentioned that, and it's the principal reason why the two guys don't talk anymore. Charles Barkley said something to the effect of, as great as Jordan was as a player, he was that bad as an owner.
Yeah, it feels like the only thing Michael Jordan really accomplished as the owner was getting the Hornets' name back. It feels like he didn't do anything else with his time. He didn't outreach to the state of South Carolina. He didn't go and do a ton of press and be that forward-facing draw to the Charlotte Hornets. He didn't do any of that. He just sat in a room, counted his money, stayed out of the limelight, and didn't really do much to improve the franchise.
It's not that they didn't try, and folks, they had horribly bad luck. Horribly bad luck. They got the number 2 pick in the draft year of Anthony Davis. They got the number 2 pick in the draft year of Dwight Howard. They just got the number 2 pick again in the draft year of Victor Wembanyama. They just, like, at some point, you just have to say, okay, I sell. It's just not meant to be, right? And does this mean that the final chapter for Jordan and basketball is a negative one? Or is there a final chapter that is still yet to be written?
Hey, there's always the Washington Wizards.
Oh, gosh. And those are today's top 5 at 5. Now it's your chance to chime in, which you can do at 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-FANFONE. That's 844-326-3663. The text line is there for you at 71307. Just start your text with the word fan, and away you go. You can get to us on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, at The Fan Upstate on each and every one of those. Please like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, subscribe to us on YouTube. It would warm the cockles of our hearts if you did just that. And finally, email. You guys can all email the show. You can do so, Mark Ryan, that's M-A-R-C Ryan, at thefanupstate.com. Spur Daddy has emailed us today, and he says Florida's Jack Caglione throws 99 miles an hour, leads baseball in home runs, and firmly believes he can be the next Shohei Ohtani. Love the heads up there, Spur Daddy. You can email the show as well, Mark Ryan, M-A-R-C Ryan, at thefanupstate.com. Coming up next, I will take my first and best stab at the expanded playoff in 2024 in college football. Who is going to be in? That is next. This is the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides, Mark, Ryan, and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate.
Stream, fun as always. Thank you guys for chopping it up the entire show. Some of you were here the whole time, and man, we can't thank you guys enough who spend your afternoons with us every day. So that's excellent. Dan B, JD, Stephen Webb, Spur Daddy, Madcraft. There was a bunch more guys who were in here earlier in the show. Just do us a favor, guys. Whenever you're hanging out, just let us know that you're here. Again, we don't know who is here. We just know how many are here. So if you're not jumping in the conversation, we don't know if you're around. But those of you who just who lurk, who sit around and watch, we appreciate that as well. So thank you guys so much. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Turn on the bell notification. Tell your friends about the show. Find episodes of the show that we post on on YouTube and share them out to people. Let them know like how much fun it is to be in the conversation talking, and just kind of help us blow this thing up. Thank you guys.
Yeah, guys, happy Father's Day too to all the dads out there, man. We hope you have a great weekend, and thank you guys so much for participating in the show. It's been so cool to see like how YouTube is kind of taken off here a little bit, and it's just like we always say, we're the most interactive sports talk show anywhere, and this is proof of that, because of just all of the different platforms that you guys are interacting with us. We're having a blast with it. Hope to see you guys out next week for show number 1000 at Ingalls Markets, 8004 Warren H. Abernathy Highway in Spartanburg. That's next Wednesday for show number 1000. We love you guys. Have an awesome weekend. All right. Talk soon.